Blog Talk Radio.
Something's gone wrong. For all our vigilance and battle scars over the Bill of Rights, have we let the flame of freedom's torch grow cold? Because there can be no torch to pass where there's no flame.
Freedom has only one enemy it cannot defeat, and that is negligence. So your presence here, now, today, is an act of reverence. Of all man's works beneath the heavens, none shines brighter than our Constitution. I think Jefferson and Paine, Adams, Madison, Mason, Franklin, I think they're looking down right now at us. I think they understand what we're trying to do, what we strive to do. Every time our country stands in the path of danger, an instinct seems to summon her finest first, those who truly understand her. When freedom shivers in the cold shadow of true peril, it's always the patriots who first hear the call. When loss of liberty is looming, as it is now, the siren sounds first in the hearts of freedom's vanguard.
Good evening, everybody. It's Joe Joseph here with my co-host tonight, A.C. Griffith. John King will be joining us momentarily, of course. And Griff, what a show we have tonight. I mean, two big guests. We've got Dr. Bill Deagle and Dr. John Waterman. And boy, oh boy, we're going to be pounding it away tonight, folks. 2 hours of trying to get the idea across to everybody. If anybody out there has any doubt whatsoever that our backs are up against the wall, you won't by the end of this show. How's it going, Griff?
It's doing good. It's raining on me here.
Griff, don't even go there.
I know you're being flooded out down in North Carolina.
We just got a call from emergency management, right, saying, we'd ask you, please, don't drive on the roads, but no, we're going to tell you, don't drive on the roads because there aren't many roads left to drive on right now. They're all flooded out. So, I'm most certainly not happy about this whole situation, and it's still coming down in buckets. But
well,
what can you do?
The churches up here were praying for water. We were in a drought condition, and water was being rationed out of city reservoirs.
Be careful what you wish for.
That's right.
Well, tonight's guest, folks, first guest is Dr. Bill Deagle. He's one of the foremost experts on 9/11 investigation, where education, credentials, insider government knowledge, and credibility are addressed. Dr. Bill Deagle, M.D., is a very prolific whistleblower who has experienced firsthand the operation of globalist plans of above government agencies' New World Disorder. He was the exit examiner for the Special Forensics Munition Team for Fort Carson, Colorado, for the OKC Murrah building bombing as well. As an occupational doctor, he worked for the state of Colorado, FEMA, the FBI, and CDC on Operation Dark Winter and top-off biowarfare simulations. And I can go on and on. He's the host of the Neutral Medical Report on the GCN radio network. And without further ado, I'd like to bring him on board. Dr. Deagle, are you there?
Yes, indeed. I'm ready to roll.
Outstanding. Well, let's jump right into this. Now, Griff and I, we're both of the same opinion, as I'm sure you are, that our backs are truly against the wall here and that we're facing quite a threat in the very near future. What's your feelings on that, and what do you know about some of the things that can that could be hitting us in the near future?
Well, the first metaphor I'm going to use is it's like you sit down for an exam and you're told you have 2 hours, and you have your nice sharpened pencils, and about 45 minutes or an hour into the exam, you're told you have 5 minutes left. The population basically have not been heeding, and even when we talk about the so-called 9/11 truthers and the people who listen to alternative radio and check on YouTube and go to websites like mine and Alex Jones and Rents, many others, and blogs all over the world, including EuropeBusiness.com, blogspot.com with Tim Alexander, only a tiny percentage of the people that even review this are actually doing even this, minimum steps to actually get ready for something that's going to overtake the population relatively soon.
Right.
The first event that I expect today is the financial year end for the United States. And it was very telling. You see, you always have to kind of read between the lines. It was very telling that they had a bipartisan bill passed yesterday to threaten China with tariffs for 10 to 40% increased valuation of the renminbi, the Chinese currency. There's been a form of economic fascism and terrorism going on from China where they've been stealing patents, copyrights, reproducing tapes and CDs. Wholeheartedly, globalists have been moving corporations and factories and building new factories in China using slave labor, and literally strip mining technology and business and destroying the infrastructure of the United States and the Western world. And now China is coming out and being much more aggressive as they're getting their military built up because the globalists would love to have them at some point in the future, probably after the Panama Canal is finished, invade North America. Of course, the Chinese have more sense than that. They don't want to invade. They want to come in with three-piece suits on their Gulfstream jets from the People's Republican Army because they're now no longer communists. They're tin pot dictating capitalists, and they put to shame even our capitalists. And they have slave labor there, and they don't care what happens to their country. They're polluting like an insane rate in their country. So you can go to Beijing and get a quarter-inch of rubber dust in your car in an afternoon. So I expect that we're already seeing the dollar drop. The dollar has dropped versus gold 80% since 2001, since 9/11. Mm-hmm. We've already seen a drop since Obama's been in power of the dollar dropping versus gold at least 30% more or more. And it's only started to finally break where they can't control the price of gold and silver. So gold is topped yesterday at $1,310 an ounce, and silver is close to $22 an ounce. I expect an economic earthquake first, probably by the third week in October. And 2 days ago I had another contact, one of many. This one happened to be an engineer inside the Pentagon who contacted me with information sources. They expect a nuclear attack by Israel backed by America on Iran by the second week in November. Now, I can't say if that's true, but they want us to think that it's going to happen because on November 20th, they're going to have a Barcelona conference where they're going to announce that they're going to have a peace treaty between the Palestinian state and the Israeli state, partition the state of Israel, and also the city of Jerusalem. So it's going to be a guarantee, if they do this, of a future thermonuclear, scalar, and biological war between two armed and mortal enemies. The situation is that 3/4 of the homes that went belly up, foreclosed in the last 2 years across America, constitute $460 billion worth of assets that are frozen by the banks and are not releasing to the market so that the price of homes is not dropping to a place where people can get equity. So buyers, after they've been enticed into it, and of course the words were used by Bob Chapman a few weeks ago, was they're going to get an $8,000 enticement to lose $80,000 or $180,000 on the home. He expects in the next 2 to 5 years the price of homes will be one half what they are now. The U.S. dollar will probably lose 60 to 80% of its value within a year. And they are moving toward what's called a basket of currencies. They call a special drawing right, or SDR. And so they want to inflate away the debt, which in a sense is a form of illegal theft of our 401ks or pensions or home equity and any other savings we have, because they want to create a slave class. And parallel with this, April of next year, the Real ID, which is not gone, it wasn't abolished, it was delayed. In fact, a number of states objected to it, and all they did was delay it so it wasn't implemented during George Bush's tenure as the actor in the White House. But now we have the Abominator, and a bipartisan group is planning on releasing a bill in January after the Christmas recess that will make a biometric worker ID, not just for illegals or for a guest worker program, but for every U.S. citizen, which will have a biometric ID, including digital fingerprints and iris scans, facial biometrics, and perhaps additionally they'll add other things like your biometric affymetrics and Oak Ridge National Lab DNA biochip fingerprint of your HLA haplotypes and your specific gene complexes so you can access to specific types of secure buildings if you're working for the government. This is the final end game. This is not like a rehearsal. It may seem to be slow because people are impatient. They want to wait for the next TV series. But they better wake up. We're not doing this, and I'm not doing this, and I'm sure you're not, as a form of ghoulish entertainment. We're trying to wake people up. We can survive this. We can thrive. We can beat them. And we are beating them, which is why they threaten to do things like cutting off the Internet, have a kill switch to the Internet, which they can't do because the entire economy would crash. They know that once they get the biometric worker and ID that they're now doing in India at 1.2 billion people, they expect to have this year, within the next few months, 100 million people biometrically scanned for their irises and their fingerprints digitally in a database. They're trying to move us into a matrix where all of our money is divots in their electronic supercomputer array, and we are literally Sims in a world supercomputer system where we don't even have cash in our pocket, coin, or barter, and every other form of tender is considered illegal and a crime that can get you interned in a civil detention camp. But they're not going to intern us into civil detention. I know I work with these guys in special forces in the government. Their plan is to hunker down for 6 months where all hell breaks loose on the planet, and then mop up afterward like Road Warrior with robotic drones and special forces coming out of their lairs after the population consumes each other through cannibalism and other forms of obscene violence. And they know that what's coming somewhere between 2013 and 2017 is a coronal mass ejection, like the 1859 event, which is going to cripple most of civilization. Unless they power down, which they get a 4-day advance notice, they power down all the Internet, all electrical grids, all electronic equipment, or it'll be fried. And if you go outside, you'll be exposed to high-energy X-rays, cosmic background radiation, and gamma rays, as well as high-energy ultraviolet C light, and you may even have to be underground to protect yourself during the days and weeks when the magnetic reversal occurs and the ozone layer is destroyed by the CME, which will reconstitute in days, weeks, or months, but it'll be worldwide catastrophic famine. We already are in the state where the climate now is causing stress to crops. The only country that hasn't had its crops destroyed is America. So in a sense, we have the ultimate weapon, which is food. And that's why Russia stopped exporting any of its wheat, because across 5 time zones, their crops are failed. So we're in the midst of a global famine. We're in the midst of the move toward austerity fascism. And the Europeans are enraged by it and are not going to put up with having to pay the gambling debts of the world bankers. It's the largest transfer of wealth in the history of the planet. And they're ready for the end game, which is once they have their matrix in place, they have a limited number of months or years before they're going to lose it with the CME coming, the coronal mass ejection, which is predicted to be 2013 to 2017, most likely 2013, shortly after 2012. And they know in that short time window, if they don't do it, they're not going to have a new world order. They're going to have a king of San Diego, a king of Indianapolis, a king of London, England, and they're going to have 2,000 little fiefdoms around the planet rather than a new world order.
Right.
So they're in a big panic, and they know that we're waking up and we're totally pissed off, and they think they have a chicken yard, and we're turning out to be velociraptors with titanium hardened claws ready to rip their guts out.
No, that's a good analogy right there.
And we're not going to take it anymore. And by the way, we have white hats that are inside the Pentagon, inside all the letter agencies, inside our military, inside various agencies in the government, even the ones that we think are necessarily stupid congressmen and senators. There's a red line in the sand that even people that are devilish and have done a lot of bad things, the world is crossing. In other words, there's a lot of people that have done a lot of ugly things in the past, including rich and powerful, and people that have worked inside the CFR and other places, like the Council on Foreign Relations, and they're saying, whoa, this is going a little bit over the edge. This is over the top. Because they know the next stage is releasing global plagues. A thermonuclear attack on Iran will precipitate a counter-response from the most advanced third-generation biological weapons generated by the former Russian scientists from Biopreparat on the Western world, and they don't need to send missiles. Those sleeper cells with those advanced biological weapons are already in place in America, Canada, Europe, Britain itself, etc. And the moment that we launch a nuclear attack on Iran, hit bunkers in the Bashar reactor and infrastructure, those viruses are heading straight for our cells and DNA. So we need to be fully aware We can stop it. We can protect ourselves.